It's Thursday, and I'm sitting in the shop, and I just wanted to share this conversation I just had with a customer. She's this really sweet student that comes in all the time and has started to share a product that she's working on with me. On the surface, it's a t-shirt line, but when she showed me kind of the grand vision of everything, I know that it's so much bigger and more intricate than that. It's just this big, bold, crazy idea. And I love it because it feels very similar to what I wanted to do 5 years ago. And it was almost like this funny time travel moment where I'm sitting here talking to her and I'm like zoomed back to my bedroom in 2015, starting Yowie, and just knowing that I wanted to create something so different that I knew would resonate with people. But how do you explain that? How do you get it off the ground? How do you fight through all the feelings that she's feeling and that I even still sometimes feel of like disbelief and doubt when it's your idea is so different and so unique. So I'm talking to her and telling her all this. And it's just crazy. It's one of these like full circle moments where I'm kind of talking to myself at the same time when I tell this to her. And I just kept explaining to her, like, I understand that it feels scary because people kind of don't get it. But that is like your strength. Like that's what you lean into. And that's why I feel like at Yowie, what's been so good is that we are so different and that we do lean into those differences and being niche and kind of being special and kooky. And I just wanted her to understand that. So it was nice to share that and kind of encourage someone else to do that too. So as I'm talking to her, I'm thinking like, actually, this is part of a bigger conversation about ideas and where they go. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, a lot of people have these great ideas or these things they want to do, but it's a completely different thing to take an unconventional idea and get it off the ground. Wait, back up. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Hi, I'm Shannon, the founder of a little shop that could called Yowie. What started in my bedroom 6 years ago grew into a store and budding design studio. I've hosted community events, pop-ups, dinners, but what's more is that I've built an incredible community around a love of design. When I launched our web shop in 2016, I added a button called Life Advice, but I had no idea that people would actually reach out. That email has become something of an advice hotline, with guests asking me about everything from the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules to where to find inspiration at the library. True story, I met a good friend who reached out by emailing asking for a place to get a haircut. More and more, I started receiving a lot of questions about the business side of Yowie. How to start a business, how to bring your idea off the page, how to make money and not compromise your values. And it got me thinking, how could I share this information with more people? That's where the idea of Small Enough came from. What if we created a show to help unpack some of these ideas candidly and take an intimate view of small business with different creators at all stages of what they're making? We'll explore common small business themes like creativity, self-discovery, community, and scaling with intention, which is something I'm always thinking about. We'll even share some highlights of my own journey as Yowie grows from our tiny storefront into a mixed-use space this fall that includes 11 hotel rooms and a cafe. But enough about me, and more on that later. Remember that guest I mentioned at the beginning of the show? The one who was getting all the pushback about her business idea from her peers? I think my friend Lindsey Scannapieco would be really helpful to unpack this problem. Lindsey's the founder of Bach, a 300,000 square foot former vocational school that was put up for auction by the city in 2013. It now houses over 200 small businesses, a rooftop bar with a chef-in-residence program, an art school, and even an urgent care center. It's a very cool adaptive reuse project, and something that's completely unconventional that I think we can get some inspiration from. Let's go. Thanks, Lindsey, for being here.
Of course, happy to.
Thanks for meeting me during the day.
Oh, it's always so nice to catch up.
So take me back to the very beginning.
So I remember when we started and I found out that we were the highest bidder, we were the youngest bidder, I was the only female bidder, and I was like, oh no. We're either doing something really right or more likely something really wrong. Mm-hmm. And we knew that we were going to do kind of like a messy kind of incremental development. And so that meant that we were sometimes going to jump in or kind of just actually have just enough money to open a bar. It was like very DIY. We didn't have enough money for all of the fridges. So we got a bunch of children's kiddie pools. And actually in this space that we're sitting in, mm-hmm. we had this whole room filled with kiddie pools, filled with ice. And that's what we'd keep the beer on because every day we'd have to double our beer order. I remember us being like, if 100 people come out, this will be a success. Yeah. And instead, like 2,000 people came out.
That's incredible.
Which was also a success, but had a whole new set of challenges that we were like totally unprepared for.
I love that your approach was let's just try things maybe it's not quite perfect.
That kind of idea that we were going to approach the building more organically, I think is actually ended up being just such an important part of the building energy and ethos. Like the idea that actually it was something that could change and develop and grow over time, and I think always should. But also that it was just going to be a bit like strange and weird and a bit more nimble and like a bit more of a space where anything could happen. And I think that was really something that we wanted to communicate.
You've brought up one of my favorite things that I relate to Yaoi is this unfinished nature that like we're in a wabi-sabi mindset. We're always almost in this beta mode. We try things. Some things are great. Some things are not so great, but we learn from them. And I love that Bach really does. I mean, I've been following it fairly closely since it opened. It really does feel like there's always something new happening here. But something I've been dealing with lately on the project is the responsibility I have to both our audience, the artists I work with, and especially the neighborhood. So I'm from nearby, not exactly the neighborhood, a little bit south, but like wanting to deliver this thing that really does feel like a positive space for people and a space that feels very welcoming and very engaging with the neighborhood.
I feel like there's all those little moments to kind of build trust and listen to the community that are actually outside of kind of the big forums. And so sometimes if it feels like, how do I get everybody's input? It's actually just like a little bit at a time and mostly just through leaving a door open. Like it can be that
that's a great
simple.
idea. Something I've been thinking about lately is how inexperience can kind of be a powerful thing. And I remember one of my last freelance positions when I worked in fashion was I'm traditionally a wovens designer. And they asked me to design knits, which is two polar opposite categories. And in my first year, they're like, oh, you're looking at knits in a very different way because you've never designed knits. So I wonder if that's something you've experienced too, is like the things you don't know are kind of the things that work in your favor.
100%. You should by no means think that obviously you don't know everything. None of us do. But I think really like relying on, and I kind of, when we first did this tour of this building, we kind of brought in this army of experts. So somebody, on structural engineering, environmental, historic preservation, a contractor, like I think it was like 30 of us. I was still the only woman in the group. And we kind of said, let's look for the things what do you see that's most concerning today? And we did a full walk of the building. And it was on that tour, it was the first time I came up to the 8th floor and saw the view of the city. And I just remember being like, this is amazing, and people are going to want to come here. And I think good projects are all about context. And like, I'm from Philly, you're from Philly. Like, I feel like you want to honor your home city and not do something that kind of feels imported from
another
LA
place.
or New York. But I think there's a way to also look at it and also kind of, I think, check that crazy idea and feel like, okay, this does work. It's just about doing it in my own way.
Sometimes I appreciate their skepticism. And we'll prove you wrong in a couple of years. It's fine. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon. You've given me so many little nuggets that I'm just gonna think about in the next few days. And just thanks for chatting through this stuff.
No, of course, anytime. I'm always here.
Awesome. Well, now we're gonna jump on the bus and head over to our new space. Speaking of inexperience, that's the face of someone that often has no idea what she's doing. I've never done a TV show, but here I am making one. And at 38, I'm about to open an 11-room boutique hotel. That's also a first. I'm heading to meet my contractor and business partner, Billy, who's on site today to discuss some design changes. I want to talk to him about some things that Lindsey shared with me and get his always sage advice. It's your space. Even though I've been here 100 times already, it doesn't feel real yet. Hi.
Hello, Ari. How you doing?
Good. So it's not in the center of the room. They take this broom and put it over your head. I know we keep going back and forth about the bathroom ceiling heights. I need the tallest possible bathroom ceilings.
We'll get you as high as we can, okay? But I think an 8-foot ceiling in here will do fine for you.
I just want them all as high as possible because, in my mind, it's like we got so lucky that we got this building with these tall ceilings, so why would we close anything up, especially knowing that we already have 18 to 20 inches. I know that you kind of built this out already, but I would love to add a transom up here with some kind of like artistic detail.
Oh my God.
You can see the floral, some of the old wallpaper and the colors like keep that original treatment.
Definitely, okay?
Definitely, I can have it. There's just something so special about that. I mean, I know we can't keep the floors and stuff, but anywhere where we can keep an original detail would be really fun. Yeah. So I met with Lindsey, you know Lindsey from Bach. I sat with her yesterday, and one thing I loved, which she said, was that her space, she sees Bach as never finished. They're always doing new projects, they're always doing new things. They keep it really nimble. Is there one room that we can have where every month you bring back the guys and I repaint it and I do new lights and I do all new furniture and new wallpaper? He's like smiling at me. He's like, what if you came to this hotel and every few months there's a brand new room for you to stay in? Like, how cool would that be? And everything changes, like
Honey,
every 30 days.
You couldn't afford it. I promise you that, okay? You couldn't afford it.
Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind about a way to do this because it's not that heavy of a lift.
I keep an open mind and you keep an open wallet, and then we'll go from there.
How's it looking, AJ?
Beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. It's like, this is flat out Billy, very natural.
You are. You have a second life as an actor.
I had a second life as a belly dancer, okay?
I got so sidetracked talking to Billy that I totally forgot to wrap up this episode. I'm taking Lindsey's advice and leaning into my inexperience here because that was actually one of my favorite takeaways from my talk with her. It's something I want to share with that customer that I mentioned at the start. When I started Yowie, I was really scared to make that leap and go all in. I was constantly battling self-doubt or ways to move forward and grow the business. Sure, I made some mistakes, but everyone will at some point. And as soon as I accepted that Yowie didn't need to be perfect from the beginning, or maybe ever, it made trusting myself so much easier. You know I'm going to tell you exactly what I want. That's not out of the question, even if I know you're going to say no.
Between you and Everett, no wonder I'm losing more hair at this point, okay, over here. You know,
we keep you young. We give you new ideas, and you can take them on to new projects after us.
Oh, bless you, honey.
What a day it's been. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We saw so many cool things. Another part of the story I haven't shared is that I actually don't drive, so I'm gonna hop on the bus and get out of here. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, sorry.